All right. This next video is a subject that I have been preaching for years. Years. And I'm curious what this person has to say about it. And it's titled Features That Make Orgs a Reality. That is what orgs gameplay, it doesn't have to be orgs, just like even small groups giving like the ability to play together is just so dang important, and it just hasn't been prioritized yet.
Monster Tech is sponsoring a giveaway on my channel. Stay tuned for details on how you can win a set of chair or desk mounts.
Oh wow.
Hello everybody. Picture this. You've got a pretty sizable fleet in your hangar and Xenothreat pops up. You and a bunch of org buddies want to hop into the fray. However, many of those org mates do not have that same kind of firepower as you cash wallet whale you. What do? Well, as of right now, you can spawn in a ship, have people load into it, and fly off. Once they're a good distance away, then you can spawn the next ship. It's a very manual process and it can take a few minutes.
It can, but one thing, oh, my camera's not on for some reason. One thing that it can really do is that 318 is like very special for, I think, is that you can spawn unlimited ships as long as they leave the area, as far as I'm aware. So that is something that from 317, the maximum you could spawn was 3, and the last one would despawn per player. So that is like very useful and already moving towards like the right direction. I don't think they did it on purpose necessarily, but yes, very good change for 318.
Talk about a first world problem, right? But today I want to talk about some features that could really enhance org gameplay in Star Citizen.
And that's the other thing, is he's implying that these ships are only purchased by players, but orgs and friends can come together, pool money, and continue to buy ships on the same account that can spawn them, like an org would.
And first on the list is ship ownership sharing. Try saying that 3 times fast.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do instead of the process I just described is assign permission levels to various org members. The way I see it in my head is for each ship you can set a level of shareability, and then go through your friends list and org mates and assign corresponding levels to each of them.
Yep.
For instance, my Avenger Titan doesn't get as much love from me as it used to since I now have larger ships. So if anyone needed to borrow it, I'd be more than happy to let them. They can even change the loadout if they wanted. So if I could assign an open pass to members of my friends list so that they can pull my Titan from an ASOP terminal,
yeah, they could be tied to the ranks in Spectrum.
My Scorpius, on the other hand, that's my baby. My X-Wing is only getting flown by people I trust. So for someone like our good buddy Schlag, I'd give him the same rights to fly and modify the ship. But for a not so close friend, I might only let them fly it. So those people in the almost inner circle can still pull it from an ASOP terminal, but they wouldn't be able to modify the loadout. And if they don't have enough confidence with me, then I can restrict them to fewer of my fleet entirely. Where this really comes in.
See, and what's cool is he's not even really talking about like a big org. This is just a friend group that is being like this could be really utilized with big orgs as well. That it applies to both friend groups, which you can call like a little org, but it's really just friend groups, you know. And then that's it. Like I would love to see that integration come into the game way more quickly than it has, unfortunately. Like the org rankings meaning something in game. Like, what's the party color right now? There is none. Like, it would be really cool if, you know, players in your party were green. I think we had that for a moment, and now it went away. Players in your org are purple, right? Something like that.
Handy is when you're trying to do core.
And you could just, like, anyone in my org can use any of my ships, kind of scenario, just to start.
Coordinated work as an org. You've got some people doing some mining, but the orders from a few days ago are finishing up and they're starting to pile up. Wouldn't it be great if, as an org leader, you could designate your cargo runners and they can pull your quant orders from the station and take it off to sell?
Yep.
Profits go right back to your wallet, and then you disperse funds based on role and participation. Or
That's
even
the
better,
most important
what if they
tool.
automatically got a cut based on the org service performed? all while you might be with another group entirely, still mining more rocks. Or, even better, on these larger vessels that will be getting more complex capacitors and piping, wouldn't it be nice to assign engineers and pilots, gunners, and the like? We know that hacking and boarding operations are coming at some point down the pipeline.
We also know that assigning roles are coming as well. He may have missed that, but that is something that they've absolutely 100% confirmed and spoke about when talking about the engineering role.
But if you see a system go offline and it has a blue check mark, maybe it doesn't immediately trigger any alarms. It might just be your engineer doing routine maintenance. Suddenly there's an added level to hacking to try and take systems offline without being detected. And let me say, in previous patches, we all worked together as an org to get a Carrack. We pooled resources and grinded until we could buy it. And I say we, but it was really me, because I got a Carrack, and my org helped me to do it.
Yep.
But if I'm not online, the org party bus does not exist. I'd really love to make it so that higher ups in my org could all pull that ship and use it for whatever shenanigans they come up with too. It doesn't do anyone any good to just sit in a hangar all the time. On the other hand, between work and school, I don't get to play all that much at times when others can hop on. So flying the party bus gets a bit lonely.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the biggest, but not. It's sad that it's not prioritized, but it also is totally understandable. I think everyone looking at this goes, I can think of a minimum 10 things that are more important to work on than this right now. But it does feel like it would insanely enhance the current not great experience that players have now, right? So I think that's why it just feels so right. Like, why don't you do this now? Is because, and this is something I've argued all the time, is when it's an option and when it's fairly easy to do, you got to do it. CIG is things like this. Now, I don't know if it's easy to do, whatever, but if it is, like having access between org members or something like that to your ships or whatever, right? Because then you take the game that you have now, which is largely incomplete, and you've added this layer to it that immediately upon arrival makes the game instantly 10 times better for people who play in a group. Easily. It's not easy to do. They do not have org inventory yet. Okay. But the thing is that they do have like a global inventory just for you, and they have an inventory that other people can see. So why I'm thinking that it might be somewhat easy is that there's tag on the website. That tag is communicated into the game, and that tag determines that you can open up that a third version of those inventories that already exist, right? Tag exists on the website. The inventories exist in the game, like the possibility of doing this. And the only difference is the website tag communicating to the game. So I don't know how easy it is to communicate that, but I think that a lot of the steps are done. It's the permissions, yeah. It's not the inventory. This is very I'm about to cry. French Film Set Festival entry. Yeah, this is going to Cannes. This guy's all alone in his carrick. What's he gonna do? Just go to each room and imagine what him and his friends could do there one day.
And I think this kind of ship sharing feature has a lot of added relevance with the inclusion of PES, or persistent entity streaming. I can envision logging off in my captain's quarters and logging back in to find that an authorized org member has flown the ship in my absence. This ability means that careers like exploration can gain a level of coordination that doesn't yet exist. It would also make using our larger ships as a mobile base a much more viable option. As an org, we could start planning out fleet movements and make longer flight paths. Admittedly, this does require more star systems to be in place.
Yeah.
But the ability to share ships like this seems like an important piece of foundational tech to enable this level of gameplay in the future.
Yeah, and that's the point he's making, is that when I can share ships, the possibilities are endless for this game.
And this goes hand in hand with another org feature that I'd like to see implemented.
Org banks.
Org banking.
Yes.
This really comes down to an expansion of the money trading app. But I'd like to have the ability to create a proxy account on behalf of the org that people can pay into. This can take the form of doing a fundraising for an org stretch goal, union fees, or issuing loans with org funds. I'd also like to see it done such that you can enable lots of people to see what happens to those funds for transparency, and at the same time...
Wow, that is a name I have not seen in a long time. It was up at the top, Kilted Frog. That goes back to the original Arena Commander days.
Limit the authority for withdrawals. Within our org, we've tried to do essentially this by nominating an org financier. We send this player all the org funds, and it's within their authority to spend it on org goals as he sees fit, with leadership council, of course. But what happens when that player isn't online? Well, the org is broke. Expanding the banking app in-game with this feature set means that orgs can be more flexible and efficient with their funds. And it ties back into the ship sharing because it's a lot more incentivizing to pay into your org's ship goals if you know you'll get a chance to actually use that ship. It would also make it easier to set up...
See, the features that make orgs a reality, sadly... that's why I focused on group play early, have not been mentioned yet. And there has to be, like, we're only halfway through the video, so he has an opportunity, but money, ships, what do you do with them at a point? And because what brought this in is he said the word incentivize. And that's the thing that I've struggled with more than anything, is incentivizing this like more hardcore org clan gameplay in a game that just doesn't support it at all. Because it's a game that has no progression, none of that stuff yet. So, you know, asking your members of your org to participate in something that has no reward at the end is a very difficult thing to do, and it just doesn't work.
Reward systems for org loyalty and issue salaries for services rendered. Like in the mining example mentioned before, you take a load of quant, you get paid out some percentage from the profits through the org accounting.
Yeah, but what do you do with the money?
Of course, all this would require a high level of communication. And that brings me to the next org feature. I'd love to see an in-game chat integration with Spectrum. Spectrum itself could stand to be fleshed out quite a bit. It's very rudimentary and results in most orgs using Discord instead, ours included. But
what happened to the website end of Turbulent? They had all these plans integrating like chat, like that was a planned feature. What happened?
It would be great if the official means of communication from CIG offered more tailored features for Star Citizen. Then, to be able to access those same threads in-game would be the cherry on top. I realize it's not that difficult to Alt-Tab and go to Spectrum that way, but having access in-game would add to the immersion, and frankly doesn't seem too far of a stretch from CIG's vision anyway.
No,
I mean,
it's not.
what else are we going to do
a
while we're
planned
watching
feature.
paint streaks across the screen while we're in Quantum? But this kind of integration would also
Hopefully, like engineering your ship, moving cargo around, filling things in your ship that need filling, like consumable things like maybe oxygen, water, food.
make org reputation easier to track. If those kinds of analytics were available in-game, I could foresee being able to see where you stack up within your org in much the same way that we see rep in-game today for other factions. Furthermore, we know CIG is going to need to revamp in-game comms anyway. It's already getting cluttered with just 100 people on a server. There's also no backlog of communication, so if you miss something,
Yeah,
you're out of luck. Some slick YouTuber recommends the perfect video that answers your question. Oh well, try again. But once we do start pumping more players into a shard, it's going to get a lot noisier. We're going to need ways to filter out the literal deluge of chats coming in. It seems logical to assume then that would include ways to filter by org, friends, proximity, mission, etc. I'm hoping the features I've mentioned can be squeezed into the coming rework. And the
Those exist in the game already. You can make a group, you can add everyone in your org to your group, and that's your chat. That exists, but the only thing that it doesn't exist is the link between Spectrum and in-game chat. But that's an actual thing. And what's cool is that also has a voice chat as well. And I think it goes across multiple servers. So if somebody else is on a different server, but they're in that group, they will see that chat.
last thing I want to talk about today is game aesthetics. Today, how do you know if you were taken out by an ace pilot of Oddjob or a pilot from the org Dusty Buns? You don't. Unless they brag about it in chat, I guess. And that actually does have a high likelihood now that I think about it. But the point still stands. What if we can slap an org sticker on the outside of our ships, armor, guns, etc.? We know ship aesthetic customization is coming. I'm sure this kind of customization is obvious to the developers. I just want to emphasize how important
he was on the right path, but it's not about aesthetics. There should be statistics, org statistics, which we know exist because we've seen them post them for things like Jumptown, Xeno, stuff like that. So they already have those things. It would just be a matter of displaying them for the non-event moments, like who's mined the most quantity, like that kind of stuff.
it is for orgs to trying to etch a name for themselves. For instance, when homesteads are a thing, I want a rival org to know it was us that raised their stim farm to the ground. So when they check on it, they'll find our flag standing there like a calling card. Or maybe just before their ship blows up, the last thing they see is our logo flashing across their windscreen. Aesthetics give a sense of identity, and they do the same thing at an org level as well. In conclusion, I want to be able to set up ship sharing with my org mates and friends. Org banking would enable a lot of org activities to be streamlined.
Yep.
Comms need a rework, and we can squeeze a lot of org functionality into that coming rework. And finally, org aesthetic customization will add a sense of identity to org players in the verse. But I'd also love to hear your ideas. I may make a follow-up video showcasing the more popular options, so be sure and leave those down in the comments below. And ladies and germs, this brings us to the end of the video, and therefore the Grow the Channel giveaway. Monster Tech is sponsoring this giveaway on the channel, so huge thanks to them. I am really happy to have them as a channel sponsor. They make fantastic products. I've been using their chair for several months at this point, and I couldn't be happier. It's a great chair. It does exactly what I need it to. It fits the kind of lifestyle that I have in front of my desk where I play Star Citizen, but I also play Destiny 2. Videos will be coming out on that in the future. Stay tuned for that. But it really is just a fantastic chair. It's probably the best option for people like us who play Star Citizen, DCS, or any other flight sim, but also do other things with their computer. It's fantastic. And if you want a chance to win a set of chair or desk mounts for your rig, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel and leave a comment on any video during the giveaway period with that video's corresponding secret word. Today's is pretty easy. I'm going easy on you. All you have to do is comment a org feature you would like to see implemented in Star Citizen. Furthermore, if you want to get 5% off your order, use code ODDJOB at checkout.
There you
5%
go.
off. That said,
there's a link to
like,
the video
share,
so you guys
comment,
can
subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Let me know what you
giveaway,
think. And until next
all
time,
that jazz.
this is OddJob Entertainment signing off.
But that was pretty good. I just think that he's missing one major thing, and the thing is that major thing is probably quite far away. Is what are orgs going to compete over? Right? So for now, I think the best solution in the short term is rankings. So a mining org who mines the most ore, who makes the most money. Salvage, same thing. Medical gameplay, who's getting, completing the most medical missions, right? Like, that's all you can do right now, because Star Citizen doesn't have what I would like to see, which is territory. Things to compete over, control, right? That kind of stuff. We can't expect that in the Stanton system in the first place. Second, in the current state of the game. So the only thing that orgs can really compete over is a ranking system of some kind. And they have the ability to do it. We know it. And that will just be that. So that would be really cool to see, is for them to do something like that. And again, we know they're capable of doing it. It would just be displaying it on the website somewhere. And that might be something that motivates people to play more than before. That's the features that makes orgs a reality. The number one feature is motivation for people to play, right? He seems like he's got a good group of buddies that he plays with on a regular basis. That's the motivation right now. But long term, for the video game, motivation needs to be something in-game that drives you, right? Like I've described this before, is I was in a guild in Albion Online, and I wasn't a strong character. I wasn't good or anything like that. I was just starting out, really, in reality. But our org had a territory, and we weren't a big one, or a guild had a territory. We weren't a big one, and we were constantly having to come together to defend it, or be there for certain things. And just being there, even though I didn't participate very much and wasn't able to because I wasn't high power, like I didn't have enough power, the ability to be a part of something that's bigger, like a greater whole, is really important for orgs to kind of maintain that motivation for players to keep playing. So that would be my number one thing, is motivation. And my number 2 and 3 would definitely be org hangers, org banks, right? But yeah.